ओम ओम ब्रह्मानंदं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। जय गुरुदेव।
हरिओम। जय गुरुदेव। ओम श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ नवमोऽध्यायः। राजविद्या राजगुह्ययोगो नाम। श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्। राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षावगमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम्। अश्रद्धधाना पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्य मां निवर्तन्ते मृत्युसंसारवर्त्मनि। मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्। भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गोमहान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीत्युपधारय। सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकां कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्। प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः। भूतग्राममिमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात् न च मां तानि सर्वाणि क्षम्यताम् न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय। उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृति सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तो मम भूतमहेश्वरम्. So as decided, we will repeat verse 4th and 5th once again. Having drawn Arjuna's attention, Lord Krishna begins the topic of this chapter in a very big way. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. Maya, by me, avyaktamurtina, whose form cannot be objectified. Idam sarvam jagat, this entire world, tam is sarva bhutani, all beings. Matsthani, have their being in me. Na cha aham, and I am not. Teshu avasthitaha, based in them. Maya avyaktamurtina idam sarvam jagat tatam sarvabhutani matsthani nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. This entire world is pervaded by me, whose form cannot be objectified. All beings have their being in me, and I am not based in them. I repeat, this entire world is pervaded by me, whose form cannot be objectified. All beings have their being in me, and I am not based in them. It is important to note here that in this and the following verses, the word bhuta, being, is used in the sense of jiva. The word bhuta also covers the entire world, jagat. When it is said that the jiva is created, sustained, and destroyed, one should know that by jiva is meant an embodied being. The jiva, being non-separate from Atma, is never created or sustained or destroyed. But the subtle and physical bodies born of subtle and gross elements are created, sustained, and destroyed. So, for the jiva, creation, sustenance, and destruction are only with reference to these bodies. At the destruction of the entire jagat, which includes all bodies of all jivas as well as the jagat become unmanifest. From this unmanifest state, when all these become manifest, that manifestation is called creation. As long as he does not recognize his identity with Ishvara, this process of manifestation and unmanifestation continues for the jiva. Maya jagadavyaktamurtina tatam idam sarvam. The Lord says, this entire world is pervaded by me. There is an adjective to me, avyakta murtina. A form or the truth of a thing is called murti. Avyakta murti is a form that is beyond objectification. Something that cannot be objectified may be hastily construed as non-existent. So that there will be no such problem, Bhagwan has used the word murti. Avyakta murti is the one who exists and is available for appreciation. That is me, and by that me, this entire creation is pervaded. It is not Krishna's body that is pervading everything, but his real nature, bhava. When Krishna says here, Maya, Kshamyata, when Krishna says here, Maya, by me, he uses the first person, and that refers to the real being, Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. By me, that is Brahman, which is Sat Chit Ananda in the form of existence, consciousness, not limited by time, space, or any object. This entire world is pervaded. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagata. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Things that are born are called bhutas. Because they are born, they are subject to change. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi are all bhutas. Then, out of these bhutas, a number of systems, lokas, were born. And in any loka, there are many forms of physical bodies, each with their own subtle body, all made of the five elements, the Panchabhutas, according to our five elemental model. Out of these five bhutas, subtle and gross, come all the lokas and the embodied beings within them. Together they are called Sarva Bhutani. Even the Ahankara is included in bhutas. All thoughts are created and have their being in one uncreated Atma. Therefore, Krishna says, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. All beings have their being in me. I repeat the last three lines as there is a breaking of voice. Out of these five bhutas, subtle and gross, come all the lokas and the embodied beings within them. Together they are called Sarva Bhutani. Even the Ahankara is included in these bhutas. All thoughts are created and have their being in one uncreated Atma. Therefore, Krishna says, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. All beings have their being in me. And without me, there will be no being at all. Shankara says, anything without an existential status is not available for empirical transaction. Nahi niratmakam kinchit bhutam vyavaharaya avakalpate. He introduces this sentence to illustrate an important point. All beings upon inquiry prove to be mithya. Whenever you analyze any object, it is reduced to something else and is therefore purely nama rupa. If we stop here, there is only a void, shunya. If at the bottom of everything there is shunya, there will be no transaction, vyavahara at all. But because there is one thing that is, everything is understood as existent. Space is, time is, everything is. But then one may argue there are certain things which we understand as non-existent, like the rabbit's horn. Even so, the rabbit is existent, only the horn is not existent. And even though the rabbit's horn is non-existent, how do you know? of the non-existence of the rabbit's horn. This is very important to note. To know this, there must be a person who knows. That person knows aham asmi, I am. Then he uses a means of knowledge to know that rabbits do not have horns. That rabbits have no horns is purely a piece of knowledge, and to acquire that, there must be a means of knowledge. You cannot say it is perception because eyes can capture only form and color, not non existence. They detect presence, not absence. So, the means of knowledge is not perception. Then, how do you know that the rabbit's horn does not exist? It is not inference because all inference is based on perception, nor is it a presumption. You do not arrive at the fact that rabbits do not have horns by presuming it from the fact that rabbits never hit you with their horns. You do not conclude rabbits do not hit me with their horns, therefore they do not have horns. It is not a knowledge born of perception or inference or presumption, but an independent means of knowledge called anupalabdhi, a negative means of knowledge based upon the knowledge you have. You know that what a rabbit is like, but you don't really see the absence of the horn. When you question whether a rabbit has horns, you determine that it does not have horns. That is arrived at by anupalabdhi, a means of knowledge employed by the person who is existent. He uses a means of knowledge to determine the fact that the rabbit has no horn. But the fact is, and the person who knows is exists. I repeat the last line as there is a break of voice. You know what a rabbit is like, but you don't really see the absence of horn. When you question whether a rabbit has horns, you determine that it does not have horns. It is arrived at by upalabdhi, a means of knowledge employed by the person who is existent. He uses a means of knowledge to determine the fact that the rabbit has no horn. But the fact is, and the person who knows is, exists. Generally, this existence is considered an attribute of object. We say, for example, this pot is existent. Here, existence becomes an attribute which distinguishes this pot from an absent or a destroyed pot. This existent pot you will later call a destroyed pot. So, when you say, this is an existent pot, existent is used as an opposite to non-existence or destruction. Since there is such a thing as an absent or a destroyed pot, you can say this is an existent pot. The knowledge that you have of existence is always opposed to non-existence. The fact that it exists only means that it is not yet destroyed. This is how our buddhi grasps existence, and because of that, it is always an attribute imputed to an object. Existence is not an attribute. Vedanta just reverses this orientation. In fact, its whole intent is only to dismiss this orientation. It says existence is not an attribute. It is unlike anything that we know. To this existence, it is the objects that are so-called attributes. Let us look at it in a simple form. Suppose I say this is a gold chain. Here, the gold becomes the attribute, the chain, the substantive. This is not a mere linguistic orientation. It reflects an orientation in my vision, my way of looking at the world, and myself. This is a takeaway sentence. I repeat, this is not a mere linguistic orientation. It reflects an orientation in my vision, my way of looking at the world, and myself. It means that I see myself as a mortal being who is existent now, subject to aging, to time, and is going to be destroyed one day. All these are involved in this simple statement. In Vedanta, we reverse this vision. If you say gold chain, chain has the status of a substantive and the gold an attribute. Do you add some gold to the existent chain? If you do, it is a gold plated chain, not a gold chain. I am talking of gold chain. In fact, all that is there is gold, chain being purely a nama rupa. This is an entirely different vision. The gold becomes existent, satya, and the chain becomes nama rupa, seemingly added to the gold. Why seemingly? Any addition should bring an addition to the gold. But here I find the chain's appearance does not bring any addition or change to the gold. The gold substance, the swarupa, its and other properties remain the same. Too much of king of voice? Please let me know if any sentence you want me to repeat. I am repeating the last two sentences. There are notifications. The gold becomes existent, satya, and the chain becomes nama rupa, seemingly added to gold. Why seemingly? Any addition should bring an addition to gold. But here I find the chain's appearance does not bring any addition or change to the gold. The gold substance, the swarupa, its weight and other properties remain the same. Even with the appearance of the chain, the gold retains its own nature. So we say the appearance of the chain is a kind of addition, a semi-creation. We cannot totally deny a creation because we see the chain. Even so, it is only a seeming creation because there is no beginning of a substantive. The gold has been, the gold is, and gold will be. There is no real chain at all. It is nothing but an incidental nama rupa attributed to the gold. Therefore, it is a sort of addition to the gold. If the gold could talk, it would say all these golden ornaments, the gold chain, the gold bangle, gold ring, gold earring, gold nose ring, gold ring, all of them have their being in me. The existence of the chain is entirely dependent upon the gold. Therefore, in Vedantic language, we will not say gold chain, but chainy gold. I have to completely change my language just to express my vision. In fact, it is not really the language we have to change, but our vision. When I say gold chain, I must know that what I am saying is that the chain is gold. Similarly, if we say this entire creation is Ishvara, it means the creation is the attribute. Ishvara is the substantive Vastu. Paramatma is Satya, and the entire creation is nothing but Namarupa. Therefore, Krishna says, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani, all beings are in that existence which is I, the Atma. Sarva Bhutas include my body, my senses, all that I know, my ahankara, and even ignorance. Ignorance is, that is Atma, consciousness. The thought is, the knower is, seer is, hearer is, thinker is, thinking is, emotion is, memory is, this is, that is. Then anything that you say that is Atma. And that is, which is qualified by whatever you say, is itself unqualified. That is Atma. That is Atma, and therefore the statement Matsthani Sarva Bhutani is meaningful. Now it is clear what was meant by Maya Tatamidam Sarvam. Everything is pervaded by me. It means nothing is away from me. In anything that is, that consciousness is the Atma. In any piece of knowledge, there is consciousness involved, and that consciousness is Sat Chit Ananda Atma. And it is avyakta because it is not an object. The means of knowledge we have can only bring the objects to light, but the object is, and that is yourself. This is something we appreciate not in the way we are used to, because the one who appreciates is also pervaded by the Atma, as is the knowledge of the object and the object itself. The Atma is self-evident, not an object that is to be known. First, the Lord said, by me all this is pervaded, Maya tatamidam sarvam. This means that the Atma is in every being. Next, by saying, all beings are in me, Matsthani sarva bhutani. He completely changes the situation. In this particular expression, there is a potential problem. Does the Lord have Adhar, Adheya connection with the world? There is a common notion that in every heart there is a divine spark. The Atma is looked upon as something located in the buddhi of every being. According to this, the buddhi can be construed as the basis, the Atma as the base, with a basis-based relationship between the buddhi and the Atma. To eliminate any such notion, Bhagavan says, Nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. While all of them have their being in me, I am not in any of them. We have hundreds of paradoxes like this. The meaning is simple. All of them are in me, but because you may think that I am located in them, I say that I am not. They are all located in me in the sense that I am the Sat of all things, like gold is the Sat of all things, golden. In every gold chain, there is gold. Gold is not located in the chain is gold. The gold does not exist in chain in the sense that it does not depend upon the chain, which is only the Nama Rupa. The very existence of the chain is because of the gold. If the chain is, the isness is nothing but the isness of the gold. Therefore, gold does not exist in chain, whereas the chain exists in gold. One is Satya, the other Mithya. Satya does not exist depending upon Mithya, but Mithya cannot exist without Satya. That is the whole intent here. Please understand this very well. I repeat the last line. The very existence of the chain is because of the gold. If the chain is, the isness is nothing but the isness of gold. Therefore, gold does not exist in chain, whereas the chain exists in gold. One is Satya, the other Mithya. Satya does not exist depending upon Mithya, but Mithya cannot exist without Satya. That is the whole intent here. So all of them exist in me, Matsthani Sarvabhutani, but I do not remain located in any one of them. Nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. I becomes the basis, the adhara of everything. But I am not adheya, based upon them, because they are mithya. Please understand this very well. I repeat this last, but I am not adheya, based upon them, because they are mithya. I am the Satya, the truth of all of them. They have their being in me, but I do not have my being in them. I am not dependent upon them for my existence, while they depend entirely upon me for their existence. I repeat, this is a very beautiful truth. I am not dependent upon them for my existence, while they depend entirely upon me for their existence. One may argue that it is like the situation of a king. The citizens depend entirely upon the king, but he does not depend upon the citizens. One is independent, the other dependent. Similarly, if all the worlds are dependent upon you and you are not dependent upon them, there is still a difference between the world and you. You have become the Adhara and the world is the Adheya. Bhagwan has covered this by saying that he is Avyakta Murti. Shankara states the significance of this. An object which has a form is something that can be connected to another object. There is the possibility of basis-based Adhara-Adheya connection. The dish, for example, is on the table and the table is on the ground. Since each of these has a form, it can be the basis, Adhara, for another object which has a form, the Adheya. Now let us consider the relationship between space and an object which has a form. It can be the earth, it can be all the planets. All are based upon, accommodated in space, except space itself. But space also exists in me consciousness, which has no form whatsoever. If all things exist in space and space itself exists in me, then I have no location. If this is so, what kind of basis-based connection is there? With no location, there is no Adhara Adheya basis-based difference. I am self-existent and everything is based upon me. Those who do not understand this fact may say that the Atma is located in the Buddhi. The Buddhi is the place where you recognize the Atma, that is, as consciousness. It manifests there. But that does not mean that the Atma is located there. Atma is that by which everything is pervaded, including your Buddhi. Maya tatamidam sarvam. Buddhi, after all, is a vritti, and every vritti is nothing but Chaitanya Atma. A pot vritti is consciousness plus the name and form pot. Every vritti depends upon Chaitanya Atma, like how the waves depend entirely upon the water. But Chaitanya Atma has no form that can be located anywhere. So it is not an object based upon something else. It is a vastu that has no form and has no connection with anything else. So it is not possible for it to be adheya, based upon something else. It is that in which everything is based. Therefore, Shankara says the nature of Atma is such that it has no connection whatsoever. Like the water has no connection with the wave. Between Satya and Mithya, there is no connection at all. Mithya does not exist apart from Satya. One is Adhisthana, the other is superimposition. Even the Adhara Adheya difference is not there. The Jagat is non-separate from me, yet I am independent of the Jagat because one is Satya, the other is Mithya. A connection can be between two things that are Satya. I repeat, there is a breaking of voice. A connection can only be between two things that are Satya. If Atma is Satya, and if there is any other Atma which is equally Satya, then we can say that one Atma is connected to the other Atma, that one is based upon other, that one depends upon the other. But there is no second Atma at all. If there were, you should be able to recognize it. But anything you can recognize is an object of Atma and not Atma. That is because Atma is consciousness which recognizes everything. There is only one Atma which from its own standpoint is non-dual. It is pure Chaitanya Atma. If you want me to repeat anything, please let me know before we go to the fifth verse. So Bhagavan has beautifully explained here how Atma is the only Satya and the rest, the whole Jagat is Mithya. And that Atma is Asanga. whatever attributes Nama Rupa, they all are mithya. And since Atma is not Buddhi Grahya, it is not Indriya Grahya. That is why it is beyond perception, beyond inferences. Anyone wants to share or? And here Bhagavan has said, I'm not based upon them. I will just repeat once again the shloka. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvasitah. This entire world is pervaded by me, whose form cannot be objectified. Objectified, remember this word. All beings have their being in me, and I am not based in them. I hope the things are clear now.
Can someone explain? Excuse me, Jai Gurudev. Can one explain? He said somewhere that the Panchabhutas also always changing, so that is also asatya. And in the bhutas, ahankar is also included. Somewhere, can somebody clear that? I did not get it properly. That space and all 5 elements are ever changing.
Yeah, let me find out. Yeah,
In the
beginning only. I think.
Yeah, beginning.
Jai Gurudev, if you remember the Tattva Bodh and how the progress,
Panchikarana.
yeah, all that is coming from the
Included
Panchama.
in.
And the bhutas are apart from the Atma. They are only Nama Rupa. There is no Satya to them. The only Satya that is the substance, which is Atma. All others are Nama Rupa only. So the bhutas that emerge from the Atma, from there all the Panchikarana happens. From there the Ahankara, Chitta Ahankara, the Stula Sukshma Shariras form. So therefore all of that is one bundle of Mithya. So therefore even Ahankara comes into that. Isn't it?
Okay.
Ahankara plus Buddhi. That is the Stula, the Sukshma Sharira, all of that. All the Panchajnanendriya, the
Karmendriya.
and the
Karma and Buddhi.
Prana, all of that. You remember the Tattva Bodh?
Yeah, 27. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of that comes under Anatma. It's all Maya Janitam, isn't it? They all have their basis in the Atma, but the Atma is not in them. In the sense, the Atma is not, it does not depend on them for its existence.
It is there, but it doesn't depend on them.
Anything. Yeah. It is self-existent, self-effulgent.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Whether Atma, whether Ahankara or any Bhuta exists or not, Atma exists. But the very existence of every Anatma depends on the existence of Atma. Without Atma, they have no existence. Like the chain and the gold, no? The chain, does it have an independent existence apart from the gold?
No.
It cannot. It cannot, right? So, gold is, therefore chain is. But you cannot say... Huh. Yeah, you were
But
saying
I'm not
something.
dependent on buddhi.
Yeah, you're not dependent. The gold is not dependent on the chain for its existence. The gold is self-existent. It is there. Because there is gold, there is chain, there is ring, there is bangle, everything else. So therefore, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamu. It's like gold will say, Maya tatamidam sarvam. I exist in all the ornaments, in the bangle, in the chain, in the ring and everything. But I am not in them.
Yeah, I'm not ring. I'm not that chain.
I don't depend on my existence on them.
Thank you.
Therefore, ahankara is also like one of the ornaments that comes out of gold. So, ahankara, chitta, buddhi, stula sharira, everything.
I just was reminded of a very beautiful example given by Swami Sarva Priyananda. He had given the example of a sun. We all are like different colorful pots, the whole creation, and all pots have their stuff inside. And the sun is like Ishvara, and his reflection we are getting depending upon the kind of water we have. Our antakarana, if it is very pure, the reflection will be very clear. And that reflection is not dependent upon our pot or different varieties of pots. It is dependent upon how clear our water is.
Clear and steady.
Yes, clear and steady. So may I go to the next verse, 5th verse? Because Atma is not connected to anything, Bhagavan says, Nacha matsthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhuta brunna cha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanah nacha matsthani bhutani, and the beings do not exist in me. Me, my. Aishwaram yogam. Aishwaram, that which belongs to the Ishvara, connection to the Jagat. Pashya, see. Mama Atma, myself. Bhuta Bhavanaha is the creator of beings. Bhuta Bhuta, the sustainer of beings. Nacha Bhutasthaha, and not residing in the beings. Nacha Matsthani Bhutani, me Aishwaram Yogam Pashya Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha Bhuta Bruta Nacha Bhutasthaha, and the beings do not exist in me. Look at this Aishwara connection of mind to the Jagat. Myself is the creator of the beings, the sustainer of the beings, and yet is not residing in the beings. I repeat, and the beings do not exist in me. Look at this Aishwara connection of mind to the Jagat. Myself is the creator of the beings, the sustainer of the beings, and yet is not residing in the beings. First, Bhagavan said, all beings have their being in me. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Now he says, and the beings do not exist in me. Nacha matsthani bhutani. This removes any possible notion of Bhagavan being the Adhara of all these beings. If Atma is only one and everything is dependent upon Atma, there is duality, and Bhagavan would be a huge samsari, because a samsari, after all, is someone with a number of dependents. To rule these out, he completely reverses his language and says, all these beings and things do not exist in me. It is like the clay saying, the pot exists in me. Then after thinking it over, saying, in fact, the pot does not exist in me. All that is in me is clay. I exist in my own right and do not depend upon the pot. Their clay is Satya. Anything else has no independent existence. It is only Nama Rupa. This is a takeaway sentence. Clay is Satya. Anything else has no independent existence. It is only Nama Rupa. That is all Anitya. There is only one Nitya, and that is Atma. Similarly, every thought is me, but in me there is only Chaitanya. I repeat, very beautiful sentence. Similarly, every thought is me, but in me there is only Chaitanya. If you turn your vision towards the Atma, there is no thought there. There is a breaking of voice. If you turn your vision to Atma, there is no thought there. And for that, you need not do anything. When one thought has gone and another is yet to come, what obtains is consciousness, the Atma, independent of a thought, independent of the whole Jagat. That consciousness is the nature of the Atma and its Swarupa. There are no beings. I repeat the last line, that consciousness is the nature of the Atma and in its Swarupa there are no beings. Having said this, he says something more to make it clear that there is no contradiction in what he has just said. He says, Pashyami yogam aishwaram. Pashya means look, understand. The word aishwaram is an adjective to the word yoga and means that which belongs to Ishvara. Yoga here means connection. The Lord says, look at my connection with the Jagat. Pashyami yogam aishwaram. This is the yoga connection of the cause, Paramatma, with the effect, the Jagat. In any cause-effect relationship, the cause is independent of the effect. Why? The effect depends upon the cause. This is the reality from the standpoint of cause-effect, Karana Karya. If you go one step further and look at the cause, Karana, is there an effect, Karya? You find that all that is there is only the Karana, because the Karya is nothing but the Karana in another form. Therefore, the Lord says that the entire Jagat is nothing but Himself. The cause of the entire Jagat is Ishvara, and therefore it is all Ishvara's glory. Therefore, he says, Pashyame yogam aishwaram. If this is the nature of the Atma, then along with Bhagavan, you can say the same thing. Along with Krishna, Arjuna can also say, Maya tatamidam sarvam. All this is pervaded by me. Because he understands that the Atma pervades everything and there is no second Atma available. In the Atma alone, all the beings exist, and at the same time, Atma is free from all beings. Because this is the nature of the Atma, anybody who understands this can say, Pashyame yogam maishwaram. Look at my connection, my glories. All paradoxes.
One quick, can we repeat this para one more time? If this is the nature of, thank you.
Yeah. If this is the nature of the Atma, then along with Bhagwan, you can say the same thing. Along with Krishna, Arjuna can also say, Maya tatamidam sarvam. All this is pervaded by me, because he understands that the Atma pervades everything and there is no second Atma available. In the Atma alone, all the beings exist, and at the same time, the Atma is free from all beings. Because this is the nature of the Atma, anybody who understands this can say, Pashyame yogam aishwaram. Look at my connection, my glories. All paradoxes are glories. Atma is the cause of everything, and the recognition that takes place about this Jagat is that Jagat is also I. But when the beings do not exist, what do I have to talk about? All I see is Brahman. There is no Jagat here. Nacha matsthani bhutani. There is no connection between the Atma and the Jagat, because there is no second thing belonging to the same order of reality to get connected. This is the wonder, Ashcharya, and that is why he says, Pashyame Yogam Aishwaram. And it is a wonder from another standpoint too, which Bhagavan expresses in this paradox. He says, Mama Atma Bhuta Brita Nacha Bhutasthaha. Myself is Bhuta Brita, but not Bhutasthaha. Brita means one who sustains or upholds. Bhuta Brita is one who sustains all the beings, Bhutas. Atma sustains all the beings by giving existence, Satta, to all of them. Like clay sustains the pot, Atma sustains the Jagat. At the same time, it is not located in the Bhutas. Nacha Bhutastaha. That is, it is not limited by any of the Bhutas. When the Lord says,
Sorry to interrupt you, Balaji. So you're
yeah,
reading beautifully, but I like to read it one more time from that all paradoxes, kind of
okay,
slowly, because
sure,
I'm trying to
sure,
get something out of this. Thank you so much.
yeah. So all paradoxes are glories. Atma is the cause of everything, and the recognition that takes place about this Jagat is that there is too much of breaking of voice. I repeat once again. All paradoxes are glories. Atma is the cause of everything, and the recognition that takes place about this Jagat is that Jagat is also I. But when the beings do not exist, what do I have to talk about? All I see is Brahman. There is no Jagat here. Nacha matsthani bhutani. There is no connection between the Atma and the Jagat, because there is no second thing belonging to the same order of reality to get connected. This is the wonder, Ashcharya, and that is why he says, Pashyame yogam aishwaram. And it is a wonder from another standpoint too, which Bhagavan expresses in this paradox. He says, Mama Atma Bhuta Brita Nacha Bhutastaha. Myself is Bhuta Brita, but not Bhutastaha. Brita means one who sustains or upholds. Bhuta Brita is one who sustains all the beings, bhutas. Atma sustains all the beings by giving existence, satta, to all of them. Like clay sustains the pot, Atma sustains the Jagat. At the same time, it is not located in the bhutas, nacha bhutastaha. That is, it is not limited by any of the bhutas. This word satta, I think I need to check whether it is a vibhakti of the word satya. Brahmaraji,
It's existence, satta.
yeah,
It's right. Mm.
yeah. Satta doesn't means the authority. It is, I think, the satya words vibhakti. I need to check, but
Mm.
it's a very beautiful word. Atma sustains all the beings by giving existence, satta, to all of them. Like clay sustains the pot, Atma sustains the Jagat. At the same time, it is not located in the bhutas. Naja bhutastaha. That is, it is not limited by any of the bhutas. When the Lord says he is the Bhuta Brita, he is not engaged in this very big task of sustaining the world. That is why Lord Vishnu is portrayed as lying down. Shayanaha Sarvam Bibharti. Lying down, he sustains everything, just as Atma Chaitanya sustains your thought without getting involved in any manner. Meaning is there is no connection, sangha in any manner. Further, he is not located in the bhutas. Since it has no form, the Atma cannot be bhutastaha. Kshamyatam. Since it has no form, the Atma cannot be bhutastha, residing in the bhutas. That is why he says, all the bhutas are located in me, whereas I am not located in the bhutas. I am a sangha. And with that beautiful note, we will just close our eyes and we will just feel that oneness with the whole creation. Asangoham. And then we will share our takeaways. I will just read once the fourth and fifth shloka. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavasthitaha. This entire world is pervaded by me, whose form cannot be objectified. All beings have their being in me, and I am not based in them. Nacha matsthani bhutani pashya me yogamaishwaram bhuta brunna cha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. And the beings do not exist in me. Look at this Aishwara connection of mind to the Jagat. Myself is the creator of the beings, the sustainer of the beings, and yet is not residing in the beings. Kindly share your takeaways.
I think in the fourth verse, Jai Gurudev, fourth verse, he brings in the aspect that Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. He is pervading in and through the creation, but he is not in any of the creation. He's not dependent on any of the creation. And in the fifth verse, he even negates that. He says he's bringing in the concept of Advaita, wherein he says, the fourth verse, he says, the beings are in me. But in the fifth verse, he says, the beings are not in me. He says, there is only one. There is only I that exist. Nothing else exists. So he's actually negating what he has said in the fourth verse, only to bring in the truth that all this is only what we see in the outside world, in the visible world. What we perceive is all to do with just Nama and Rupa. The Nama and Rupa they exist only because of that isness, that existence, that Satya. And that Satya is what Atma is. And that is the only truth. So, therefore, he even negates that. He says, even the beings are not in me.
Yeah, furthermore, this Swamiji explained here, if Atma is the one, if Atma is the only one and everything is dependent upon Atma, there is a duality.
Mm.
And the Bhagavan would be a huge samsari, because
Correct.
samsari, after all, is someone with number of dependents. To reel this out, he completely reverses his language and says, all these beings and things do not exist in me. So that's the reason this twist here, like that,
Yeah.
not exist in me. So like we thought, I mean, today it was even more clearer when we read it, that part example and all that. But this like 4 lines, makes it so clearer.
Correct.
The other thing came to me like that Paschyami
Yoga
Yoga
Maya.
Ishwaram, and they kind of explained it so many different ways here, initially he said how you should understood the Karana Karya, and where the Ishvara is the Karana to make this Jagat, the effect is the Jagat. That becomes the Pasyame Yogam Aishwaram. So the cause of the entire Jagat is Ishvara. And that's Ishvara's glory. They are one point there. And then then they say this the second where yeah, this is so interesting that the nature of the Atma, then along with Bhagavan, you can say the same thing. Along with Krishna, Arjuna can also say Maya Tatamidam Sarvam, which means, so Arjuna also has Atma, right? That all this is pervaded by me. So he, because the Atma is one, Arjuna can also say all this is perverted by me, because he understands that Atma perverts everything. There is no second Atma available. So this is also nicely said here, the Atma alone exists, and same time Atma is free from all beings. Then that anybody who understands can say Paschame Yogam Aishwaram, which is the connection in my glories, right? And then the next next Paschame Yoga Aishwaram, he says, I do not have any connection. There is no connection between Atma and Jagat, because there is no second thing belonging to the same order of reality to get connected. So that is also, so there's three ways they kind of explained it. Um, that all you see is the Brahman. There's no Jagat here, no Nalcha Mastani Bhutani. So there is no connection between the Atma and the Jagat. There is no second thing. Kind of it is said, but it in a different way, like um, there was kind of interesting to me. And and then the fourth, the second line, Mama Atma Bhuta Brit Bhuta Brit Bhut Nacha Bhutasa. Right? What was the line there? Then it said Bhuta Bhavana. Yeah. Mama Atma Bhuta Brit Nacha Bhutasta. So same thing kind of explained. He sustains and he created and sustains everything. But then he's not attached to any of those things. So that's the Nacha Bhutastaha. Then the last thing is Bhuta Bhavanaha is so that's Satchidananda Atma here. I think the last one, it feels like you still need to read, because we read only half of the way in this one. So I couldn't explain the whole thing clearly. Sorry about that.
Anyone else wants to share?
I think every time we read, we'll find something new in this one. It seems like keep reading and reading and reading. At least you have to read, like Nana said, 18 times.
So we'll go back to chapter 6. Is anyone ready with verse number 34?
I read a little bit. If you want to read the sloka.
Yeah, I'll
One
read the
second.
sloka. 1 second. I'll read the previous sloka. Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Proti Nena Madhusudana Etasyaham na pashyami Chanchalatvat Sthitim Sthiram. Arjuna said, this yoga that you have talked about as sameness, O Krishna, I do not see its steady vision due to agitation. And then, Chanchalam himana Krishna Ramathi balavadhridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Krishna, O Krishna, he, as we all know, Manaha, mind, Chanchalam is agitated, Pramathi, tyrant, Balavat, strong, Dhridam, well-rooted, Aham, I, Tasya, of it, Nigraham, control, Vayohu iva, like the wind, Sudushkaram, too difficult or impossible to do, Manye, think. Krishna, he, Manaha, Chanchalam, Pramathi, Balavat, Dhridam, Aham, Tasya, Nigraham, Vayohu iva, Sudushkaram, Manye. As we all know, Krishna, the mind is agitation, a strong, well-rooted tyrant. I think of it as impossible to control as the wind. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Mara.
Yeah, I see I can do the job. But in the beginning, Shankara defines Krishna. This is nice one, like Bhakta Jana Papadi Dosha Akarshanaga. Say one who removes Akarshati, all the limitations, dosha such as sins, Papadi people, of people who are his devotees. So that's one meaning of Krishna. It's so beautiful that we read this before. I think it's really nice to read it again. This about this Bhakta Jana Papadi Dosha Akarshanaka. So this other the way the Sachalam, which is the mind is agitated. The way he explains, like remember the ninth chapter we did the Vayu and the space. Here Vayu is described a little differently. Like mind is like difficult to control, like the wind. That's how it compared here, and then they give three different names to this: Pramati, Balavat, Dridam, for the mind. So mind is like a tyrant, um, like it has in it also strong and well rooted, this things that happens in the mind. So it's basically not only it's agitated, it's also it shakes up. So they go on explaining like uh, however one person is so educated, well, everything he has well mannered and all this happens, but when he gets angry, he that person loses everything. So that kind of an emotion, when it happens like a sadness or anger, all this condition of the mind, it takes over this person. So it doesn't matter what culture or status or upbringing that person has. Once they get angry, they lose all of it. So, um, so that's about how they say pramati, and where the other thing also, the sadness, like the sadness doesn't ask the person. I mean, sorry, that I wouldn't say it doesn't ask the person. The sadness happens because the mind keeps thinking about it. This anger, sadness, or um, other things that happen in the mind, because of this too much thinking about those things. Like some of the natural things, like feeling hungry or thirst or sleep, the mind doesn't have to think, it naturally happens. But the thing that for people to have this kind of uh, sadness, because they are brewing over something. Like he nicely explained that second chapter, remember that Krishna first starts that verse associan as anvasosvam prajna Prajnavadancha Bhasase. So basically, that you grieve for those who should not be grieved for, yet speak words of wisdom. So Arjuna was so, he had all the talent. He was very smart and intelligent and everything else. And he's a Kshatriya. And, he had all the skills in the world. But then he became so overcome by this sadness. So he was not able to do anything. So he wanted to give up on fighting, right? So that how much it can affect one person when they are sad or angry, they cannot make decisions properly. So that's was said about that. And then the well rooted, oh yeah, the childhood memories, so something happened in the childhood experiences, like again, in this case we can take Arjuna, how he been treated when he was young by the Kauravas, and also all the plan that he mm, all this psychologically he been affected more, that was, those things were difficult to, that those things are well rooted in his mind, so that is difficult to remove. That's why the sudushkaram, what is that one? Yeah, sudushkaram. So so uh, so it doesn't say here. One more thing they mentioned here: stress did not be a factor of agitation. So that that's pretty much what has been said in this particular sloka. Like um, that compared to what Arjuna's problem is universal. Like basically, that happens to everybody. So that pretty much what I got in here. Like mind is can be agitated. Even if people have all kinds of uh, values, achievements, and conduct, and everything else is good, but still they can be agitated because of this this kind of sadness or angry and other things. I hope I probably did cover some of it about the stress not be a factor of agitation. But I don't know, you want to say anything, Dr. Brahma, or anyone else?
Yeah, you very nicely summarized it, Dr. Mara. Thank you. I think what we'll do is tomorrow, we just have another minute now. Tomorrow we'll read this PDF because it has a lot of understanding of why the mind is so agitated, why all the sadness crops up, what is the root in the childhood, how we need to take care of the mind like a mother takes care of the child. So we'll read this PDF tomorrow. If anyone wants to add or share, please do that before we close.
Yeah, this is Arjuna's question, right? I think next to, I'm sure that you said about how mother takes care of the child, like that we should also do the mind. The next verse, I think Krishna is going to tell how to take care of it. I think how to manage the mind.
Shall we close for today? Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.
Jai Gurudev, Doctor.